Hello again, friends and comrades, and welcome back to Tyranny. I would say welcome back to the blind playthrough, but this is going to be a special episode. We're not actually going to do anything to progress the game, to progress the story, to progress any side quests or anything. I'm only going to respec my Fatebinder Durago.
I got it.
So basically, what we're going to do is respec, and I'll talk about the game mechanics. I'll talk about like what's good and what's meh, as far as I understand it. I don't know if this is going to be a 40-minute episode or not. I'm just going to go through as much as I can and try to do it concisely as well, because I don't want to waste your time. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Sespinar here, and we're going to respec. There we go. It takes us to this screen. Now, I don't know why that's unlocked. I never use magic staves. So first of all, what I'm going to do is going to bring these back up to 10. Another 2. There we go. That's so 16 minus 4 is 12. Let's get that back down. There we go. There we go. So now everything should be at a flat 10. And from there, basically I just want to break everything up to 10 so I don't have any penalties. I hate penalties. It just drives me nuts. So having it flat is acceptable to me anyway. Now for these, I'm just going to put it all into control life, I think, because frankly I don't have a whole lot else to do with it. Do I use any of the others? I don't really use magic at all on this character, do I? I don't want control stone. Let's lock that. Let's lock atrophy. Lock lightning. Force is pretty sweet. Let's lock fire. Well, maybe not fire. We'll lock grave light. Grave light's actually not bad. It's pretty good actually. But okay, you know what? I'm actually going to decrease this. I'm just going to let it auto... I'm going to let it automatically distribute all of those points into all of the unlocked ones. Any points you have unspent will automatically evenly distribute to all of the unlocked skill pools. Support skills. I want to try to make this as close to what I had it before I did the respec. And so I think I took a picture. I took a picture of my stats before I did this. So that was like 118 parry. Let me just get my picture up here, actually. The reason I want to do that is just because I want to, for role-playing purposes, I just want to keep these all where they were. One thing, like if you already know what talents you're going to do, you could decide to dump dodge and just go all into parry, because as you'll see, I'm going to take some talents that use parry instead of dodge. I don't know for everything or for just most things. So I'm just going to get this up to like 100. So plus 22. Let's go 102. I had 103 in the picture, so that's not terrible. Lore 74. Athletics 87. Oh, I maxed out at 80. Okay. And subterfuge. Okay, something is going to have to change there. I should probably do these points first, because these are also going to put points down here as well. As a magic character, I would probably have put points into finesse first for the accuracy. Probably for the armor deflection too. I mean, you're probably wearing light armor as a wizard. So this would be awesome, both defensively and offensively. And then probably some balance between these two. I think a lot of people might max one of these two first, but I'd probably keep these two balanced after I either max this or get this up to at least like 16, and then start doing these two. But I'm not a magic character. I'm a melee focused character. If you want to be a little extra tanky, you could put a few points into this, but honestly, it's probably not worth it. I don't think your vitality is going to be a huge issue in 99% of the game. Even if you're playing on higher difficulties, I wouldn't tank it. Like, I definitely wouldn't decrease this below 10. But you can, a couple points if you really want. However, I'm going to put this all the way up to there. So that's 19 plus the one from the necklace. It's fine. So we've maxed that out. For melee, this is also incredibly important if you are playing as a light armor wearer because of this stat here, deflection. Plus 10% armor deflection. So deflection reduces the type of hit that is incoming from a crit to a hit to a graze, or graze to a miss. So you can totally negate damage. You can cut damage in half. It's fantastic. It's really, really good. And you really want that to be as high as possible. Now, I think unpatched in this game, this added like a percentage per armor piece that you wore, per light armor piece. So this was like super broken, and light armor was just by far the only way to build your character. It was super overpowered. But they did balance it, so it's just a flat plus 10%. Which is good. It's fine. It's great. After that, I would put a couple points into, a few points in the might, and I do want this to be up as well. Maybe like that. So 15 to 18. 21. Nah. Yeah, something like that. And now if I look what's going on over here, let's bring that back down to 102. And parry back down to 118. I wanted this to be 87. And this should have been 80, I think. Let's bring it up to 82. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that down by 5. And I'm going to put it into parry. And you're going to see why in just a moment. And I'll leave this experience to be pooled into all of them evenly. All of this is just going to go directly into one-handed weapons, because honestly you should probably just focus on one of these for your entire character build, and not split your experience into two of them. We're going to save that and see like that. Just distribute it evenly across all of them, even though I don't think any of them actually up to level. But for magic, where's my magic? I don't even see the magic down there. That might not be a good sign. I'm not sure. But anyway, talents. So if you've been following along, I did have talents in a range tree. So I was using javelins. Javelins are so cool. Not enough games use those, really. Like Diablo 2 is probably the last one that I remember. Does Diablo 3 even have them? I didn't play Diablo 3. But most games like this don't have javelins. Pillars of Eternity didn't. They had guns, though. That was pretty cool. But I took all those off. I found an artifact spear, and if you remember in episode 0, I did say that spears are my favorite fantasy weapon, so I'm pretty happy to have found that. I did not find an artifact javelin. If there is one in the game, I have sadly missed it. So I took all my points out of there. What I'm going to do is I still want these. I like the mark target, and I like the small bonuses I get to all of my defenses just from that. A couple points in leadership, that's awesome. The main thing I want is agility. So I'm going to go with that. Put a bunch of these. Replace dodge with parry while defending against range attacks. Now, does that include magic? I hope so, but I can't be sure, and that's why I didn't want to totally tank my dodge. If this counts for magic, then whatever, get rid of dodge, just put all in, go all in on parry. This is the opposite of what Verse has. She has, over here, dodge instead of parry for melee attacks. So this uses parry instead of dodge for range attacks. And I'm hoping that means that, I hope that includes magic, but just in case it didn't, I didn't want to lower my dodge too much. Now, this one is Duelist, so this gives me a 50% chance of counterattacking whenever an enemy attack misses me, and plus 10 accuracy. More accuracy means higher chance of hitting, critting, etc. So accuracy is just really good. And by level 3, plus 30 accuracy, that's huge. It means I should be critting more. And I have a 100% chance of riposte. So I'm always going to be counterattacking whenever I get missed. So the higher my parry, the more counterattacks I'm going to get. My damage output should actually be much, much better. Unencumbered. This will give me a light armor bonus. Bonus to parry and dodge. Not bad. Could be better, but not going to complain. Bonus to deflection and parry whenever I'm engaged by multiple enemies. So definitely going to take that. And that gets me enough to do a whirlwind strike. Boom. Now we only have 2 points left. Couple of options. I could go into defense. I could get the one-handed mastery. And that would basically just give me a little bit of bonus damage on my one-handed weapons. And small chances of doing bonus attacks as well. So you can really up your damage with that. Pretty good. However, I think I'm going to go with the power tree. And the reason for that is a couple things. One, I don't currently have a stance. So choosing one of these stances, or hypothetically one of these as well. This one is kind of only useful if you're wearing heavy armor, though. It doesn't seem all that useful if you're wearing light armor. You're just not adding enough armor to make that worthwhile. And this one is a Taunting Stance, so you can do a lot of that riposte tanking with that one. Pretty good synergy, actually, to be honest. If you're taunting people and riposting with a high parry, and you get bonuses to parry and melee graze when you're engaged, for each enemy that engages you, that's excellent synergy. However, I also have Verse, who's a pretty good tank. We're basically the melee combo. And so I'm just going to go with a little bit more damage. I'm going to go with Blitz so that I can attack a little bit faster. And basically just get a little bit higher DPS. And then I'll take the Sunder route and probably more damage on my criticals. Higher accuracy means I think I'm going to get more criticals. So more damage on criticals is pretty good. Okay, so we'll save that. The difference between heavy armor and light armor, this is also another important thing to talk about. Heavy armor is just a direct reduction of damage. Oh, by the way, because I took that riposte talent, I no longer want to use a shield, because it only works if you have no shield. I believe before patches, this game, I did read a lot of patch notes before this video, because I don't want to read any other things online. I'm only trying to read official stuff. I'm very dedicated to this blind playthrough, so I hope you all appreciate that. I read a lot of patch notes, and if I remember correctly, riposte used to be that the the counterattack was for any weapon setup, while the other bonus on it, while the accuracy bonus was only if you didn't have something in your offhand. So you could have like a two-handed weapon riposte build. You might see some of those online, people talking about using riposte with two-handed weapons. That no longer works. The one thing that is really annoying about games like this is when you're looking for build advice and stuff online, a lot of that information gets out of date after all the patches are out. So you got to be careful, like when that character build was posted, when advice on Reddit was posted, etc. I've already mentioned what deflection does. It reduces, there's a 42% chance that I'm going to reduce a crit to a hit to a graze, or graze to a miss. And that's awesome. So I think the difference between a crit and a hit is like 50% of the weapon's base damage, if it's the same as Pillars of Eternity. So you're not reducing it by like a huge amount, but you are reducing it by approximately half, or probably a little bit less than half, which is a pretty good damage reduction. Heavy armor is a direct reduction of damage. So if you take 40 damage and you have 20 armor, you're going to take 20 damage. There are some caveats to that, though. That some armor is, if you look at your items, you should be careful, because some of the heavy armors, light armors too, actually, some armors, I don't know if I have an example on me, though, do I? Oh, so this is a good example. So this one has 5 piercing armor and frost armor, but 0 crush and fire. So crush is just going to not get mitigated at all. Whereas this one is also heavy armor. And that's the same. You could also get heavy armor that is more balanced. So this one, for example, is just 2 armor for all damage types. Whereas this one is much more dedicated to pierce and frost, and offers 0 protection whatsoever to crush and fire. So you got to keep that in mind. If you're going to be wearing this in the Burning Library, for example, probably not a good idea. Probably you would want to switch to a different heavy armor. Light armor also has this, by the way. I think some of these light armors will have additional piercing protection, but no crush resistance whatsoever. The problem with heavy armor is twofold. And, you know, when it comes to just damage reduction, after all the patches and stuff, these are fairly well balanced. But heavy armor has a couple of downsides that, in my mind, make light armor much, much better. One is the obvious one. It's slower, so you're going to have longer recovery times between your attacks. And that means you're going to attack a little bit less often. You're going to, just generally, your DPS is going to be lower because you're tanking more damage, but you're not going to be able to dish more damage. You're not going to be attacking as fast. And the other thing is that deflection is really difficult to bypass. Armor is pretty easy to bypass. All iron weapons in the game have an armor piercing value. So if you have an armor of 20, and I believe if you're wearing all masterwork level, like orange item armor, you should have an armor that's around 20, I think. Again, it'll depend if you go on like the better at piercing, 0 crush, or just the well-balanced heavy armors, but around 20, I think, is what you can get this up to. If you look at what weapons have for armor piercing, this is a bronze weapon, so it doesn't have any armor piercing. But we go to an iron weapon, that's 6 armor pen, so my 20 is already reduced to 14. Right, so it's actually pretty easy to bypass heavy armor. So that, you know, plus 5 armor pen. And you can never reduce the incoming damage below 1. So 1 is going to be the minimum if they hit you at all. Or even if they graze. Yeah, so 6 armor pen. And I think if you could make them a masterworks, that's bronze too. Huh. I don't have any uber awesome iron weapons here, but that armor pen should go up to, I don't know, 7, 8, 9. I have no idea, but it'll be much better. So you can reduce armor a lot more easily than you can reduce deflection. You can also raise deflection a hell of a lot more easily than armor. So there are spells. There are some spells that can increase your armor. Spells is another thing. By the way, when you respec your character, your spell slots empty out, so you should remember to redo those. Deflection is the easiest thing. Look. The illusion core with the touch range expression. Already, plus 30% graze deflection, plus 30% hit deflection. It's not crit deflection, but still, that's huge. 30%? That's amazing. You can also make it stronger. 42%. And it's only 45 lore, so I could have been using this a long time ago. In fact, I do use it quite often. You can increase the duration. You can... I don't know if you need to increase the accuracy if you're casting it on yourself, but you can increase the recovery time on it. You can make a really, really convenient, quick-to-use spell that just increases your deflection by a huge amount. You can, of course, also do... by the way, there's no range version of this, so these spells change completely if you go off of the touch. If you go to stone, flesh to stone, you can... that's to petrify enemies. Wait, which one of these increases armor? That's a stone spike, unsettled stone. No. Must be Gravelight then. Gravelight. This drains health. This one increases your armor by 6. So that's not terrible. I don't think it's going to do you quite as much as the deflection, though. That deflection bonus is, in my mind, much, much better. Especially since he has a high parry. He has a very high parry, and he has bonuses to parry from some of the talents. He does a riposte for every parry, for every block or miss, whatever. But you can also increase your armor, and this is a cone effect, so you can increase all of your frontliners. Like if you have Shadeen here, or Lantry or someone, do that. This is also draining health. This one is plus 4 armor for just 3 seconds, though. Not a huge buff. Remember that the deflection bonus was for 40 seconds, 45 seconds? 45 seconds. That's without a buff on duration. Whoops. This one. So, what? No, not even that one. This one. 63 seconds. You can have a full minute of more deflection, whereas with the Gravelight, you're getting very, very short durations of extra armor. So it's not great. So armor is just generally a little bit tougher to raise. There's also other things to consider, like... I don't have it yet. I'm re-recording this, by the way, so I've advanced the playthrough enough that I've got the Banner of Ardent artifact. That also has an ability that vastly reduces the amount of damage you take, independent of armor or deflection or whatever. So there are other things you can get. I'm recording this after episode 35 was posted, so I am a little bit ahead of myself. But the first time I recorded this didn't go too well. I just left a lot of things out. Character recovery, 1 second base. That's awesome. And then just another 1 second for my light armor and weapon. That is perfect. Heavy armor will make that last longer, and therefore reduce your DPS. I think it's safe to say that if you're worried about heavy armor versus light armor, heavy armor is probably fine for easy, normal difficulties. Easy difficulty, normal difficulty. I actually have mentioned before that I have another playthrough on hard difficulty. That character has heavy armor, and it hasn't been a problem. I don't think heavy armor is going to gimp you. But if you are going to play on Path of the Damned, you probably want to consider light armor over heavy armor. It lets you attack faster. It can reduce damage, I think, about as well. I think it's safe to say that your damage income is going to be not as consistent as it will be with heavy armor. But I think overall, over the course of a whole combat, you're probably reducing your damage more, if not about the same, but with less drag on your attack speed, etc. I think that's all I need to say about that. Definitely do learn your magic. If you've been watching my playthrough, you'll know that I was playing on normal, and I kind of regret that. I should have played on hard. There were just a couple of fights, actually 3 fights in total, that gave me some trouble, that actually gave me a lot of difficulty. But they became very, very easy after I looked at my spells. So if you learn the magic system, you can make the game a hell of a lot easier. Definitely, definitely learn this stuff. It looks more complicated than it actually is. You're basically just choosing like an element. So you have fire, illusion, healing, force. You can be like a Jedi. Vigor, this is like buffs, buff your strength, buff your resolve, etc. Lightning, frost, emotions, so that's going to be like causing fear on your enemies, putting them to sleep, etc. It's going to be that kind of spell. Gravelight usually involves stealing health, so you do damage on them and increase your own health, but as we saw, there's also the ones that increase your armor, steal armor instead of health. Stone, that's either earth damage or some armor, not armor buffs. What's this? It makes you recover from prone or something. Approximate action. So you can make an aura that does, crushing damage on your enemies. So no, there's no buffs in here. That's different. Oh, you can add a buff on your weapons that makes them prone. These things are very important to learn. So you have touch range, single target range, or actually not just single target. You can hit other targets around your main target as well if they're very, very closely packed together. Aura, and enchant your weapons. I also missed this one. This is Atrophy, which is debuffs. So you're going to like steal resolve or might and vitality from your enemies. You're going to steal their stats. You can root them. You can, destroy their armor and resolve, etc. Basically just weakening the enemy, softening them up for you to kill. So you take fire, for example. Not all of the cores and expressions are compatible, so that's why you didn't see this one before on the other ones. But you have touch range. It's exactly what it sounds like. Searing Palm, I have to be right up close to the target. It's exactly like those Dungeons and Dragons spells, like Burning Touch or Ghoul Touch, or whatever they're called. Touch range. And you also have like touch range buffs, which I already showed you. Touch range healing, etc. Everything touch range. You have cone attack. It's exactly what it sounds like. This is all in a cone. This is an illusion in a cone, so it causes daze and stun in a cone. This is not compatible with a cone, so you can't do cone healing to heal your entire front line at once. This is like a cone knockdown, like a really cool Jedi move. Very nice. I personally, by the way, I find this one of the most useful. A spell that I found is Icicle Storm, and you can get this one pretty early. So it does both ice and fire magic. I gave it to Lantry, and my god, it's been like my workhorse for the entire game. He's been doing so much damage with it. And of course you can do other things, like these are just little bonuses, right? So this is like a wild card, this square here. You can make it Frostfire, so it does frost and fire damage together. This depends on what your core is. So if I go to this one, for example, these are all of them. Oh, can I... Okay, I can't do one for that. Wait. Oh, so I can do this. So now it's Sigil of Rooting, so it has a higher rooting chance. It adds a rooting effect to the spell that doesn't already have one, etc. Awesome to get as many of these as you can. So after the cone, you can do Influential Domain. This is basically just an area of effect attack. Very standard, like Dungeons and Dragons, Pillars of Eternity, they all have this kind of thing. They all have all of these kinds of things, to be honest. Arid Lands, so now I can create like a fire zone, right? So a bunch of enemy archers pooling together. Ha! Idiots. Burn them all, right? You can do a healing zone, but keep in mind that these all have different costs. So the core is your base thing, has no cost. This has a cost, 15 lore base. This one costs 90. Oh, this is base 20, base 0, base 0. Okay, so some of these actually do have a base lore cost. I didn't actually realize that before. No wonder healing spells are so expensive. So you can do an area healing, but you'll notice that it has a huge lore requirement, and currently only Lantry can actually do it. So, you know, this is really cool, but it's pretty limited who can use it. This one is Distant Impact, so that's basically like a single target range attack, but like I said, if you have people packed really, really closely together, the single target can actually affect other targets very, very close around him, and they really have to be like tight melee range close. They have to have overlapping character circles, if that makes any sense to you. But I find this really useful. Healing Wisps, you can give it really cool bonuses like an extra Wisp. So instead of 3 little healing projectiles, you get 4. Sigil of Piercing, so that they actually go in a straight line, just heal everyone in a line. Very, very cool. And Aura, you can make an Aura healing. Again, very high lore, so I wouldn't want Lantry up in close combat, but you know, if I really had to, I could put that on there. If you have a close combat like Paladin type character, you could try to make that. You just need his lore to be much, much higher, which you can do through training as well. And Material Force. So this actually just enchants your weapons. So you can give your weapons fire elemental damage, ice elemental damage, lightning elemental damage, stone elemental, vampiric, so you can drain health with every attack. Not a huge amount of health, mind you, just 5.5. But that's where these kinds of things come in. You can make it stronger. So, accents. This is intensity, just increases the strength. So 7.7 health drained per hit. Again, does increase the lore. Accuracy, you can give yourself a more accurate magic attacks. Magic also does require accuracy, even if it's being casted on your own party members. Range, you can extend the range. This is very useful on a this can be useful on a cone attack. This can be useful on an area of effect attack. So I can make this area of fire. I can make it a much bigger area of fire with a 12 meter. Oh wait, no, sorry, that does not affect the radius. That only affects the range that I can cast it from the caster. Okay, that's interesting. I've obviously never made that kind of spell before, so not entirely sure. Increase the duration, so you can have them on the ground, this area of fire on the ground for much longer. Oops. Increase accuracy, you can increase the recovery time after using the spell. So you can, this is really useful on buffs, I find. You don't want buffs to take too much time away from your DPS and healing and all that stuff. So you do like a really quick deflection boost. So that's one thing I like to use on this. So I can boost my deflection, and it doesn't have to take too much time from combat. I can recover after 18 seconds and get back to attacking or using other abilities. I don't have all of these, so I can't really show off all of them, but I have no idea what this one is. I've actually never found that kind of spell component. I think I would need Lantry to be able to read some of the Old Walls runes in order to unlock some of these. You can add armor piercing on your spells. So if you have an enemy that's got a lot of fire armor, for example, boom, bypass it with this. You can add interrupt effects on your sigils, on your spells. So, you know, mage casting a spell, he might get interrupted when he gets hit by your spell. I find that to be a little less useful than a lot of other ones, but there you have it. This one is a chain sigil, so you can actually have your spell bounce off of your target and hit other targets. I have loved using this on healing spells. I can heal my frontliner, and the wisps will actually like bounce between frontliners and heal other people as well. You can do this on lightning, for example. You can Boom, have your lightning bounce between different targets. So it bounces twice and hits 2 other people. Awesome. Very, very useful little thing here. Sigil piercing, and I can, of course, add a second projectile to my lightning bolt, so I can have like a forked lightning kind of effect. Very awesome magic system. I think it's one of my favorite magic systems from any CRPG, any combat RPG I've ever played. I love it. I love looking at this. I love delving into the different kinds of spells you can make. And so the reason I've gone over this is because if you ever find yourself stuck in the game, look at your magic. That's probably the one thing that you need to change in order to make your party better. As your party gets higher lore skills, and they get higher lore skills just from sometimes solving puzzles in the world or casting spells, will increase their lore. You may eventually get to a point where, for example, this spell requires 70 lore. Obviously, I haven't upgraded this for a very long time. His lore is now 175. I probably made this spell when his lore was just above 70. So now he has a lot more lore to play with, and there's things I can do to make it better. I can make it a stronger spell. Bump it up to 100. This doesn't affect casting time or anything like that. I can just straight up make it a stronger spell because he's a better wizard than he was before, and we can actually get some progression that way. I can make him... I could give it range, but I don't... This particular spell has 7 projectiles that are evenly distributed or randomly distributed to people in a cone, and a longer cone might get more targets in it, but then my damage would be more diffuse, so I wouldn't want that for this spell. But I could add accuracy, for example. 115, update that. Now the spell's way better than it was before, and if I'm in combat, he's going to do more damage. He's going to be a much more effective wizard if I just start updating spells. So if I were at a boss fight that I found really difficult, first thing I would do is go here, start looking at spells that I can upgrade. You have 91 lore now, and this only takes 55. Well, let's just make it stronger. 85. Boom. It's already a much better healing spell. And then, next time I do the combat, hopefully it's much easier. Maybe I've unlocked this and I hadn't had it before. Now I can use it. Now I can give it to Lantry here. Not much I can add on to it. I can maybe... Can't even make it stronger. Don't think that's even useful. I could increase the range a little bit, but, you know, definitely look at the spells if you're in a bind. I don't think there's anything much else to add. If you're curious about weapon types, like bows, dual wield, magic staff, etc., honestly, just use whatever you like. I've found them... my other character uses two-handed weapons. Verse has been amazing with dual wielding. Two-handed weapons have been awesome. One-handed weapons have been awesome. Weapon and shield have been great. You know, Barrack has a weapon and shield. I've used him a bit. I don't find any of these like super unbalanced, to be honest. I think they're all excellent. Even unarmed is really good. And I've noticed this before when equipping stuff. Look, my current damage is 15 to 23 with this artifact spear, the Sunlance, right? It's the highest quality weapon I'm going to get. Check this out. 18 to 22 unarmed damage if I just unequip it because of these gloves. 18 to 22. That's higher minimum damage, slightly lower maximum, like barely even a difference there, seriously. This increases with strength. If I invest more in strength, if you're going unarmed, definitely focus on strength. I mean, strength increases your damage no matter what weapon you're using, so I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about there, but basically, yeah, unarmed is awesome. It increases with the quality of your glove, and I believe, we can check now to confirm, heavy armor probably gives you more damage than light armor. Yeah, it does. Much narrower span of damage, too. 21 to 24. That's brilliant. 18 to 22. 21 to 24. Yeah. So, you know, just put on a heavy pair of gloves. You can use this artifact, Binding of Shadows, that I got from Bled and Mark. Boom. Pulverize people. Go pop them in the face with these. And I think that's pretty much all I've got to say. When it comes to talents, I also find these to be really, really well balanced. Just like I could probably stick with ranged if I want. It just means that there's no artifact I get to play with for javelins. Or again, if there is one in the game, I've missed it like an idiot. Or it's in the Bastard's Wound and I haven't found it yet. There's good talents for everything, and you can make a character. Just have in mind what kind of weapon you want to use, and just build around it. And it's very difficult to go wrong. And even if you do go wrong, just respec your character. I think in terms of character creation and character building, I think this is one of the most forgiving games out there of the genre. I mean, like you're not gonna mess up your character. One thing you want to keep in mind, just whenever you're going to get an active ability, just make sure you have a valid weapon. This requires a shield. If you don't use a shield, if you're using a two-handed weapon, you cannot shield bash. Now, that's an obvious one, but cleave, okay, you can do it with unarmed. That uses all damage types. Valid weapons, all. Okay, good. So even ranged weapons, that means, by the way. So if you're using a bow or throwing knives or something, go for it. Head strike, it's fine. Sunder, basically all of the melee weapons. Do any of these require specific types of weapons, though? I mean, I was going to say this is kind of the only thing that you really need to pay attention to, but, like, okay, these ones require magic staff. These ones obviously don't work with, well, that one does work with magic staff, but you know what I mean. This one doesn't work with magic staff. But, like, just basically just pay attention, read the text, and you can make a character that's going to do whatever you want him to do. You want a magic frontline fighter? Put some of these in there. This is a pretty sweet ability right here. Thrust is one of the coolest abilities because you can just add all these little debuffs to it and make it really, really crazy powerful. But yeah, that's all it's to it. I think that's all we got to talk about. So thank you so much. If you sat through that and listened, thank you very much. And if you didn't, then you probably can't hear me talking right now. So screw you, buddy. You're still my buddy. Don't worry about it. I'll forgive you. That's me, and we're going to have this RESPEC guy. I'm going to do his magic at some point. But that was basically the game mechanics as I understand them, and pretty much all you need to know. Other than that, it's pretty much standard RPG fare. Very similar to Pillars of Eternity. With some slight tweaks on the combat system. The fact that skills are all on cooldown instead of like one use per rest or one use per battle is amazing. Some abilities, companion abilities, which, as I said before, should have been a standard thing ever since Chrono Trigger. They are once per battle. Artifact abilities are once per rest. But generally, it's a much more forgiving combat system, I think, than other games of the genre. So, if you're new to the game, welcome. I really hope you'll get into it and enjoy it as much as I have. I've really enjoyed it. And if you're going to follow along, then great. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to me ramble, and I'll be seeing you.